All right, as we continue to mourn the dearly beloved brother, friend, and colleague, we are now bringing you the Climate Chat segment of the weekend show. And the Climate Chat is where we have conversations around how climate change is widening the gap of inequality in the country. My name is Zainab Adetola. And on today's segment of the show, we will be talking about the current heat wave and precautions you can take to stay safe from the heat wave for your person, for family, and also especially for those in the agricultural sector. I have with me today Tosin Ajide, who is the Partnerships and Programs Lead at the National Center for Climate Innovations. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the show, Tosin.
Good morning, Zainab. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, so run us through very quickly. You know, we've had the rains started recently, and we've had a couple of rains fall, but the heat persists. In fact, it's almost as though it continues to get worse with each passing day. I would like you to start off by telling us about why this is the case. Why do we have such high levels of heat, despite the fact that the rains have started?
All right. Right top of my head, I can mention some things, but the major or the right answer is the climate change, right? We are in the climate change effect is being felt all over the world, and I should mention that this is not just Nigeria. In fact, globally, the last month, March was being recorded as one of the hottest months since the record started, right? So it's not just Nigeria, it's globally. So it's just majorly the effect of the climate change. And also, I should also mention for cities like Lagos, Kano, it also could be because of urbanization, right? And um, some areas are densely populated, and such heat wave are being expected. And most importantly, I should also mention deforestation, right? We A lot of deforestation has been happening around Nigeria, and there are not so much laws that are being protecting these forests and these tree cuttings, right? And tree prevents shades and at the same time help absorb carbon dioxide and also some methane that is being emitted into the air, and this is what is causing the climate change. So those top threes are for me are one of the major reasons why the heat wave is currently as high as it is right now as we are feeling it.
All right, important points there. But now the biggest concern would not now be whether or not there is heat, but what does this then mean in terms of our health and the daily activities that we carry out? What do we need to do differently with, or what do we need to take note of with how high the heat is?
Firstly, you have to stay hydrated, right? We need to take as much water as we can currently right now. We need to stay hydrated, drink as much water as we can. We need to stay in a place with good air, right? If you have fans or cooling electronics like AC, fans, and the rest, it's very important that this is the right time you get those electronics close to you. And many Lagosians might not even want to hear this, but you need to stay indoors. You don't need to be out there. You don't need to go out. So you have to avoid a populated area, right? And also dress appropriately, right? This is not the time you wear um, so many clothes. It's not a time for you to wear cardigans and a whole lot of clothes just because of fashion, right? You need to wear some cottons and some light clothes that would allow air to breathe all around your body. So those are some of the precautions we can take as individuals. And then for like you said, for farmers, right? Farmers are one of the most affected group of people with this heat wave and even the climate change. And one of the precautions that I would say is for them to understand their livestock and also their farm produce, right? So understand what are them more, create shades. At the same time, they need to also understand the kind of weather they are in, and at the same time, also need to understand the soil texture and to know the kind of plants to plant at this current period of heat waves.
All right. That conversation about water also brings to mind the fact that there is water scarcity in a number of areas, also an effect of the climate change. But that's not a conversation we can have this morning. However, I would like us to take a look at innovation. Not just because you work in that space, but also because we need innovation to combat a lot of this, arising matters. So I'd like you to tell me a little bit about what we can do in terms of, or what should climate stakeholders begin to think about in terms of innovations that they can pioneer, or what are even existing innovations that already exist that we can tap into to combat not just the heat wave, but also the climate crisis.
All right, thank you very much, Zainab. More than ever, innovation is the key, and that is one of the major, scope at Nigerian Climate Innovation Center is to try as much as possible to help see how we can build green ventures and green innovators to come up with different technologies, different ideas that can help come up with different services and different products that can help reduce, CO2 emission and even methane emissions, right? So we need to look at how we can bring in different innovations that are being powered by solar. For example, the likes of the AC, we have seen innovators have come up with ideas with solar-powered AC, solar-powered pumping machines, solar-powered fans, solar-powered different electronics, right? At the same time, we have innovations like sensors that help with energy efficiency, right? Which is also one of the major cause of climate change. We also need like farmers, like I mentioned, farmers also need things like soil sensors, right? These are innovations that could easily help us, mitigate
Tell
the
me
effect
what to
of climate
look.
change. At the same time, it also help us with adaptation of climate change, right? So we need some of these innovations to build or to help build resilience and also help adapt to the effect of climate change. So we need to more than ever invest on innovation, climate innovation, build more innovators and build more ventures that are looking to build or expand their business through innovations.
All right. All those things sound quite exciting, but many people would argue that solar-powered devices or equipment are quite expensive, and also a lot of the alternatives to what we currently use are quite expensive, and many people cannot afford them. But going away from the business angle, all of those big things that you have mentioned, when we talk about innovation, people just assume that it's only companies or those who have money that can innovate to solve climate change. What about on a personal note? What about as individuals in our homes? Are there things that we can do in terms of, just being innovative to respond to the climate crisis and then the heat wave?
Yeah, I totally agree with you that innovation is quite expensive, right? But at the same time, we all need to, look for a way to bring down some of these innovations to the common man, right? And some of this innovation that we can use is, like I said, we can use some of our phones. There are some phone sensors or some apps that you can download, that can help you know when you can be energy efficiency and also helps you keep you updates with the recent happening with the climate space, right? One of the major issues we have as a country is the fact that we don't even understand what the climate change is, and don't understand the role individuals has to play from the grassroots level even to the elites, right? So the first thing we need to do is to use our phones, social media to let people understand what climate change is and how they can contribute their own quota, right? You disposing your waste properly is you helping climate change. You making sure energy efficiency. When you are leaving the house, making sure that you off the appliances, off your bulb. These are some of the little things you can do on your own to help mitigate or combat or adapt to the climate change. So it's very important that we educate ourselves in our little ways. You can use your phone. There are so many apps, so many websites you can go to, to read about climate change. So you can play your own part. Sorting your waste is also an important thing, right? You just don't dump your waste somewhere, right? Making sure that it's being properly disposed and you get the right authorities, to come and pack your waste, right? So these are some of the things you can do your own little way. Making sure you don't throw your bottles, your Coke bottle, your bottle, your plastic water bottles, nylons on the road, and all those kind of things are some of the things that, release CO2 emissions that we can, cause the climate change. So on our own individually, if you place some of these little roles, right, these are some of the things that will come together to help us mitigate or adapt to climate change.
Thank you so much, Tosin Ajide. Stay hydrated and also play your parts. Don't think that climate innovation is for the big corporations or the individual or the government or civil societies. You can also do your parts in being innovative and responding to the climate crisis. Thank you once again, Tosin Ajide of the Nigeria Climate Innovation Center, for being our guest on the show this morning. We'll definitely have you back some other time.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that's how
much.
Right,
thank you.
All right. And that's how much we can take on Climate Chat this morning. Do not forget that we continue to mourn our beloved brother, friend, and colleague on the show today. And we'll bring up more exciting segments for you even as we do this, remembering that it was a passionate and very patriotic individual. Thank you and see you next week.